Yeah. Talk.
Hello?
Keep talking.
Uh,
Okay. Gotta turn you up.
Tell me out.
Gotta turn you up. Talk now.
Hello? Hello?
That's better. Oh, okay.
Legend of fucking lizards.
I know, right?
Yep.
You close to done?
I hope so. Well, I'm trying to finish it today. Like, I don't care if it comes out shit, I just want to finish it.
Whoa, whoa. You should care if it comes. You should care if it comes out shit. You should care.
I mean, I care, I'm not gonna, like, kill myself, though.
Whoa, whoa.
I'm saying all the wrong things.
Whoa, Sam.
What I'm trying to say is I want to kill myself.
Whoa, Sam. Whoa. So anyway, yeah. So begins today.
Well,
Ran some
leaks like Dan Warren.
ran some errands this morning, and now
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit down and study and stream for 8 hours.
Oh,
And if we're lucky, Dave will wake up right at 10 o'clock p.m. because he should be going to sleep soon, and we'll catch him when he wakes up.
you're a disgusting person.
I am?
Huh?
I'm a disgusting person?
No, I said Dave.
Oh.
No, I said it was you. I was trying to drive me insane.
I could have sworn you said my name.
I'm not a disgusting person.
So tomorrow I'll be starting early and I'll be ending early. So I'll be ending the stream. It's the streaming at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. And yeah. It's my roommate's
You gotta
birthday.
go into the real world.
It's my roommate's birthday. I kind of have to be a designated driver.
Yeah. There's not much choice in that situation.
No, there isn't.
What are you working on?
Hmm?
What are you working on?
Doing that little bust to the old man.
Yeah.
That bust.
You're gonna get raped again.
I know. I can never get this bust right.
You can't be beaten.
Yeah, how's everybody liking the forum? I saw someone talking about it in the chat. I haven't really gotten on it yet. I was going to do that this weekend. Is it something? Okay. Cool. Just checking.
Oh.
I finished my blood sport last night, Alex. I don't see you doing much perspective work or studies. Is there a reason for that? Yeah, there is. It's because I don't enjoy perspective and I don't really use it for anything because I'm not an environment guy. But that being said, it is a very important thing and I should do more of it, but I'm just not yet. I'm sure there will come a point when I have to. I'm doing a commission now where I'm going to have to do perspective, so at some point this week you'll see me streaming something like that. But in general, I stick to characters and stuff because that's what the bulk of my jobs are. But yeah. I just really don't enjoy perspective. I really, really don't enjoy it. It's not fun for me.
Grows on you.
They never really grew on me.
Yeah.
I had to. Yeah, I had to learn it in school and do a ton of it, and like I know how to do it. I just really don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it is a very important thing. I recognize the need for it.
It sounds stupid, but it's. Well, I guess it depends, like, what kind of thing you're doing, but especially for characters anyway, once you know the basic knowledge of perspective, it just helps you with eyeballing.
Yeah. I mean, perspective is a fundamental. It helps everything. The more you learn perspective, the better you get at tons of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but,
like your figures will just be much better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of like the five fundamentals. I think there's 5.
I don't know. Just
anatomy, perspective, color, form, and light.
Yeah. Lizard 6-pack.
Yeah, man. Fill it up with scales.
Yeah. Yep.
This guy's expression is so stupid.
Yeah, I don't know what it's supposed to be.
It's like a half smile.
I know, sometimes he kind of looks terrified, so.
I know.
Like he's just shit himself. Like if you put light underneath his face, he just looks terrified.
Yeah. Not much to talk about, huh, Sam?
To be fair, we just talk every day, so not much happens.
How about that big game this weekend?
Yeah. How about that? That's why he's always ending just talking shit.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like the events that happen in our lives are the conversations.
I know.
It's horrible.
Nothing happens that I can talk about because my whole life is on here.
It's like a circle of content.
Yep.
It never stops. Oh god.
I really wanted to watch a movie today, but I can't because I'll be on here all day.
So just saying that every now and then, but about life and visions.
Yeah. Nah, Sam's not a rioter. Sam doesn't care about football.
I don't give a shit.
This old man.
So, did you and Dan Levisi kick it off?
Yeah, did you watch it?
Yeah, but
Oh yeah, you were in there spamming.
I was being horrible.
You're being a troll.
It had to be done.
You were part of the problem. Yeah, everybody complained afterwards on his Facebook that me and Dave were. Everybody was complaining afterwards that me and Dave were terrible moderators for the discussion because they said we weren't serious enough and that we didn't ask the real questions people wanted to know. I was like, well, I asked all the questions I saw because people were spamming the chat nonstop. There was over 500 people there.
I mean, even then, like, every good question was asked, I feel.
It's like so many people, like, it was supposed to be an art discussion. So many people were there asking about stuff that wasn't art related, so I wasn't going to ask those questions.
Yeah, that was a lot of stupid questions.
Yeah. People were like, they should have spent less time joking about the bad questions and more time asking the real ones. I was like, are you kidding me?
They're not real Dan Levisi fans.
Did you even see how many times, like, if anyone in here was in that chat, did you even see how many times that asshole spammed and pasted the question, how many processors does your computer have and what kind are they? You even see how many times he did that? Where do you think he'll be in 5 to 10 years? Like 60 times. Like, come on.
Just the worst bit was that most of the questions are just like one, so that people could get instant gratification, like, oh, Dan Levisi doesn't need to study, neither do I.
Yeah.
It's like, I have that amount of processors, I could do the same thing. No, I don't need to do it.
More processors and less studying. I get it.
So yeah, he was a cool guy. I was just thinking about like how insane we actually did.
As far as I could tell, because I was keeping a close eye on the chat, as far as I could tell, we had asked all the good questions before we started joking around. I didn't see any revolutionary questions in the chat. If I didn't ask certain questions, it's because I thought that they sucked. You know, so that was just me using my judgment.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
That tends to happen when the DeviantArt crowd comes. I mean, yeah, I disagree with that on principle, but I agree with it in the terms of a lot of the DeviantArt crowd was there asking non-art related questions. There was a lot of fanboy questions.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah, in the beginning, everybody was just posting links to their DA accounts to get hits, which was pathetic.
Yeah. Marketing geniuses.
Anyway, we're going to have Kemp on for the next one, and hopefully it won't be too out of control. probably get more of a concept art crowd for that one because of the whole Massive Black connection.
Yeah, I think like obviously it's really popular, but it's not like the fanboy.
Yeah, it's not like he wrote a graphic novel that fanboys are obsessed with. So. We did have a list of questions before the stream, guys, but we also wanted to open it up to the chat so people had a reason to come. Little did we know that all they wanted to know was stupid shit.
It's unfortunate.
I hate this man's face. I hate it.
It's a real man's face.
I hate it. He's staring at me going, ooh.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Sorry if there's tons of noise in the background. I don't know how loud it is.
It's a little bit. What's going on?
Dishwasher. My roommate doing the whole being alive thing.
Damn it. God, I forgot how shit textures usually look.
Yeah, I know.
It's so flat.
There's gonna be a Claximum Overdrive stream tonight.
I watched that. Just the logo.
I know.
The music. You realise you're going to hell, right?
I know.
Like all of you for everything you've done.
I know.
Yeah.
More.
What you've done here can't go unnoticed.
We've ruined lives.
Can't be allowed to get away with it.
Am I right to assume that illustrators use less perspective than concept artists since they're usually more focused on characters? Well, you have that backwards. Concept artists are usually more focused on characters. And illustrators are usually more focused on scenes. So typically illustrators use more perspective if they're, traditional illustrators. If they're not like new age illustrators where everything's all blown out of whack. If they're like realist illustrators, they have to use perspective. If you're an environmental concept artist, you might use more perspective, but then again, you might not. Because there's lots of environmental concept artists that don't actually use perspective, they just imply it. Like, tons of them don't really know perspective, but they still pull off amazing environments because they're masters of implying, atmospheric distortion and things like that. But like if you're talking about illustrators like James Gurney, like real serious illustrators, then they definitely use more perspective. So yeah, like any realist illustrator like James Gurney is an example. For asking for examples, anyone like that, someone who definitely uses perspective, all kinds of things like that.
So I decided, since like I think I was talking to you about this the other day, I was saying how my personal work basically just is the challenges now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do 2 personal pieces every month, as well as the blood pool challenge, as well as work, as well as studying.
Yeah, it's a good goal.
So then I'll kind of like lower the time frame for each to a week.
Yeah, it's a good
to
idea.
do in like the 2 weeks, and then like kind of work on each of them on the next week anyway.
Yeah, it's a decent idea.
And I think PK Mike is in for doing it as well.
Yeah,
cool.
I might try to do that. I'm gonna see how much commission. I'm gonna do a post on CA next week and see how much commission I get in my email, and then I'll decide what I'm doing with personal work.
Yeah, it's just I realised like we're both reaching the point where it'll be like a year since we started doing this properly. Like it's only months away, so I need to get some cool jobs.
Yeah.
I give it a few months. I'm still doing T-poses. I'm gonna be pissed because it's not what I set out to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely gonna regret saying it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hate myself so much.
Yeah, I really can't. I'm not saying this as a cop-out. I really can't do that much more than what I'm doing right now.
I know what you mean.
I have to start introducing commission stuff because I have to make more money. It's just a fact of life. I have to make more money right now to survive. Not to mention it's a deathline goal. But it's like, with all the exercise and all the other shit I have to do, and the 2-hour study stream and the 1-hour crits, I really can't get any more ambitious. I've literally, especially with the challenges now, I've gone over my limit. I'm losing time now, so I actually have to reel it back in and do a little bit less.
Yeah.
But
it's like you reach a point when you're working so much that, like, I had this when I wrote my work on Reddit. Some guy was like, "Yeah, you need to study more," and I was like, "Well, I'm literally doing everything I can." If you know what I mean, like, I actually can't.
I just have
study
to be
that much more.
Yeah, like I have to be satisfied with the fact that I really can't do anything else right now. I'm doing way too much as it is. And I know people say, like, oh, you can never do enough. Well, it's super inspiring. Yeah, it's like, well, you might not. No, you can definitely do too much. You can overexert yourself and freak out and not have any time. And I am getting to that point, so...
Yeah, I'm going to be reaching that over the next few months. But, I don't know, I see it as like, it's like, what? Let me bring up my countdown thing. Something like 123 days, the last time I checked, to achieve like a decent position. Yeah, 120 days now.
Hey, needs...
So I just see that as like a final stretch.
Needs Loomis. 70 years ago was not the golden age of illustration. And Bridgman and Hogarth were not part of the golden age of illustration. They came after. Don't worry, we'll address this and many more things in my upcoming seminar on the golden age of illustration.
That's not even kidding.
I don't know when my seminar is, guys. I'll figure it out. We haven't even done the Golden Boys for December yet. Give me a break.
It's already the Golden Boys for January.
No. No, the 40s.
Old, man.
The 40s and 50s were not the golden age of illustration, dude. The golden age of illustration was in like the 1910 to 20. It was like 1900, like right at the turn of the century, up to like right after World War One. That was like basically it. A little before the turn of the century to World War One. The Brandywine School is what kicked off the golden age of illustration, and that was way before Rockwell, way before Hogarth. Yeah.
So,
showed you.
Felt perfect.
You might be thinking of comics. I think comics' golden age was in the 40s. And I think their silver age was in the 60s, right? I can't remember. Comics I don't know that much about, I'll tell you that. I know how they started and where they came from. That's about it. I know most of the big names, I don't know the times though. Hogarth and Winsor McCay are considered the fathers of the American comic. I hate this guy's face.
You ever got a thing where you think about that, about real people?
Yeah.
It's like you're wrong. I saw a picture of that guy, like, I don't know his name.
Alright, here we go.
The Olympic swimming thing.
Dan, could you maybe tell us if the next few blood sports are going to be more character focused or more illustration focused? I can tell you that the blood sport I'm announcing tomorrow is a full illustration, which will include characters and perspective, and environment, and narrative. Everything has to be in it. The next one's going to be everything. So, yeah. I'm not telling you anything else about the ones after it though. Basically, this is our benchmark. So this is like what we're going to call benchmark 1. So all the blood sports you've done up to now, basically you did character, environment, composition, revisited character, and now we're going to put all those into one thing. And then after this, we're going to go through that same set again, where it's like character, environment, composition, revisit one of them, and then do another benchmark where you have to use all of them. So the next one's going to be a culmination of everything you've learned. But yeah.
You ever learn?
No, you didn't. You didn't have to start from the beginning to do the next ones. There's no requirement to do them. If you started from the beginning, you definitely have a little bit of an edge, though, because you've learned more and pushed yourself farther. But, I mean, it's never too late to join in the blood sports. I mean, the sooner you join, the better you'll get faster. You'll be ready for the next benchmark and stuff like that.
It's never too late to join the blood sports.
No, it's just going to keep cycling the same ideas with real-world projects over and over again.
Yeah, it's not like if you miss one, you'll never be an illustrator. You should tell people that they won't be.
Let's see. Okay, so people are asking, we get this a lot. It's like if people are asking if I didn't totally finish my piece, should I still submit it? Be a good judge of it, and submit it accordingly. What I mean by that is like, if you're looking at it and it looks, if it's just like a sketch and it's really like you didn't do anything to it at all, then no, don't send it. But like if you like were working on it and you got pretty, like at least halfway done with it, and it's not just a sketch, if it's like fleshed out a bit and you just couldn't finish, then yeah, we want to see it. But if it's literally like tonight you sat down and did a sketch and you're like, well, it's not done, but I'm going to send it, like we don't want to see it. Just be honest with yourself when you look at it. If you put serious work into it, then yeah, send it. Oh, the next one. I'm so proud of it. It might get us on Kotaku again.
Ooh.
It might.
So it could be fan art?
I wouldn't call it fan art, no.
It's feeling like completely vague as possible.
I wouldn't call it fan art. Keep in mind, it's a real world project you might get hired to do someday. So it's not just fan art.
Raising the bar. It's like, I don't know, the way you build expectations,
No.
the worse the pressure's gonna be.
This next one's gonna be tough.
Because you just stand by that and everyone's like...
It's gonna be so tough. It's gonna be so hard. Just choosing, because we're gonna give you, as always, we're gonna give you multiple paths you can choose to do it. Just picking which one you're gonna do is gonna be so difficult. I want to do all of them.
I really want to know.
I want to do all of them.
Is it as fun as this one?
Oh, it's way. I think it's gonna be way funner. It's not as silly as this one because you could do some really silly stuff with this character one. This next one's a lot more serious. It's more rooted in like, yeah, this is an actual thing you're gonna want in your portfolio. It's really, really gonna showcase where your skills are right now because everything comes into the next one.
Yeah, it's like exactly the type of stuff I need. Like this next month, it's hopefully just going to be insane with portfolio stuff.
Yeah.
Because I need to get a cool job. I'm tired of feeling like waiting for one. Like, oh, well, if I work, then eventually I'll get better.
And I just want to say, I can't tell you what it is, but there's going to be some people in the group undoubtedly that go, well, I've never heard of that. I encourage you to still do it because you're going to get plenty of jobs where you have to work with things that you've never seen or heard of before.
Oh, no, I'm really interested. Am I going to be one of those people?
No, you'll know what it is. You and Miles will both know what it is, and you'll both be super excited.
Yeah, try and get Miles to do this one.
I'm trying to. I tried to tell him. I couldn't tell him what it is. But I was like, Miles, you will fucking love this. You will love this.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, his latest piece just has written all over it that he's trying to get portfolio stuff and trying to address, like, multiple character issues.
This next one's an instant portfolio. It's a +1 to whatever portfolio you have.
Alright.
My artistic background, I guess I could. Let's see the short version. I've been illustrating.
One of those action films.
I'm trying to think of how to say this without sounding pretentious, but I guess I'll just go for it. I am a nobody, first of all. I'm not a professional. I do work and I get commissions, but I'm not like super good. I just want to let you know that. The whole point of this group is that I'm a student just like everybody else, and I'm learning along with everybody else. Basically, my background in art is that I studied and taught at an art school in Massachusetts, and I have experience with, formulating curriculum, dealing with school stuff, doing a lot of projects. I've done a lot of client work, but nothing major. So I have some knowledge of how to run commission, things like that, pricing. I work closely with Dave Raposa, who founded the group, on a lot of his projects and projects that we work on together, IP development and things like that. I art directed for a shit company for a while, so I have some experience with delegating and what goes into making a game. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a pretty good sum up of your career.
What was the key to the city thing about?
Oh yeah, Dave mentioned that.
He mentioned. What did he say? I wasn't there.
We were talking about how you are incorruptible.
Oh yeah.
Like you never take a day off. Like,
no, the key to the city thing was I was at a coffee shop a couple of years ago in the town I live in, and an old woman fell over in the street. Her cane slipped, and she fell in the middle of the road. And I ran out of the coffee shop, and I ran into the street and pulled her out of the way before a truck hit her. Because when I saw her go down, I ran outside, but I didn't know there was traffic. And when I saw the traffic, I just ran into the road and I grabbed her and pulled her out of the road. And then I carried her to the police station. And I told them, because she was like super delirious. She was super scared, and she had cracked her pelvis. So I took her to the police station, and I filled out a report and told them what happened, and then I left. And then 5 months later, I was contacted by a police officer, and he said that the mayor wanted to give me an honorary citizen thing. It wasn't actually the key to the city, but it's the same thing. It's where they give you a certificate that says you're like an honorary citizen of the town. And I had to stand up and get recognized in front of like a senator and a bunch of people. But yeah.
Craziest story ever.
I don't know what Dave said last night because I wasn't on his stream, but that's what the key to the city thing is.
Well, I was just saying how you're incorruptible, and it was like, you got the key to the city.
Yeah. That's what it is. That's what that story is.
Just imagine you like tearing your shirt open before you run out.
No, I don't tell that story to impress women, because if women aren't impressed from the get-go, there's no point in trying to sell yourself, because then you just look like a douchebag. So I don't use that story.
Sell yourself to people.
I don't use any story. I'm just like, hey, and they're like, you, and I'm like, all right, hey, whatever. Move on to the next one. The honest answer is I'm very much in love with my girlfriend Anya, and we're very, very happy together, and I would never use that story to meet anybody else.
Why?
So he was talking about... I'm going to have to listen to this stream. I didn't know Dave was talking about me last night.
Why is this like freaking you out?
Dan, you don't have a girlfriend? Yes, I do.
Officially.
Very, very much in love. She's my better half.
I don't know. I really want to watch it. Dave's talking about how you're the nicest guy ever. I think it's because he was so tired.
That's weird. You must be delusional.
Oh, God.
I'm the nicest guy Dave's ever met, but almost everybody else I know thinks I'm a dick. I'm the kind of guy who's like a nice dick. Like, I'll buy you a drink at the bar, and then I'll proceed to tell you why your whole life's stupid, and why everything you do is retarded. So they're like, "Ah, Dan's nice, but he's an asshole. An asshole."
That's a really weird example.
Huh?
That was a really weird example. Has that happened before?
Yeah, that happened like last week.
Oh. Oh.
Me and Dave both know a lot of assholes. No, but yeah, that's weird. I'm gonna have to listen to that stream. How long was it? I'm gonna have trouble finding it.
Like, I don't know. I don't remember the time frame.
There was a period of time. I feel weird saying this because, again, it sounds super conceited, but it's the truth. There's a period of time where I was way too nice to people, and Dave had to call me out on it, and he actually helped me stop doing that because it was actually ruining my life. Because I was
like all your old stories.
Yeah, like I was putting everybody.
Like,
yeah, people were taking advantage of me because I was being way too friendly and way too nice, and it was affecting my life in a negative way. Like, if anyone ever needed help with anything ever for years and years and years and years, I would do it. But that sounds good and admirable, but it's actually not, because people would call me almost every night, drunk at a bar, their car broke down, they got in a fight, something, my boyfriend left me, every single night for years, and I would have to deal with it, and I just did it on a whim because I was like, whatever. And Dave actually sat me down and he was like, you have to be more of an asshole. And it made a lot of sense, and life's a lot better as a result. I get a lot more done. Do you think the mouth is a bit too long? The mouth's actually not long enough. Sam has this same bust.
Yeah,
his mouth is really fucking weird looking.
If you look at it, like straight on, the left side of the mouth is more to the left, and the right side is like normal.
Yeah, it's
like
weird.
Face.
He's like half smiling or something. It's really strange.
Yeah.
You should flip it. I can't flip it. I'm studying it from real life. I can't flip it because I can't flip the bust. The bust is in front of me. If it was a totally symmetrical bust and I could flip it and see the mistakes, then yeah, but his face is lopsided. The bust is actually lopsided. So flipping it wouldn't do any good.
Like when Italians and stuff do car studies, they don't flip their image, they measure.
Use a mirror. Well, guys, that would require me going and getting a mirror. So, no, I'm not.
But like, either way, this is not how it's practiced. Like,
yeah.
Like if you're practicing it how it's generally done, they just don't do that.
No, they don't.
The whole point is to try and like emulate master teaching yourself.
Yeah. I appreciate the crits, guys, but if I get stuck, I'll ask for help. Boom!
Shit.
Shut up. Shut down. God.
Did you quit the film industry?
Yeah, exactly. Please don't crit me unless I ask for help. Because the whole point of the stream, if you're new, is that I'm trying to learn by seeing flaws better, because that's how everybody learns. And if you're constantly telling me what's wrong with the piece and what you would do and what you think I should do, that takes away all of my beautiful self-discoveries of failure, where all of a sudden after working for 2 hours I go, oh, the nose is fucked up, and then I learn. Don't steal it from me. Don't steal it from me. Let me bake tons of disgusting pies so that one day my pies will be that much better. Do a self-portrait? Why do I do crits? Because I only crit work that people have pushed to a point where they no longer know what to do.
Yeah, it's like...
No, see, you're defeating your own question. I only do crits of pieces where somebody has pushed an image to a point where they can't see what's wrong with it anymore. If I pushed this bust study to a point where I couldn't see the flaws, I would ask you guys for help, and I've done it before. If you guys were ever on here for like my 4-hour, 5-hour studies, I ask for help all the time. I even ask for help in my illustrations. I did it yesterday when I was working on Topaz Tony. I couldn't figure out what to do with the hands, and I asked for help. So yeah, I mean, if I can't see the flaws or if I've stared at something for too long, I ask for help on here all the time. It's just not when I just started out a bust and it's only half an hour into it.
Yeah, it's like you tell someone what's wrong when they want to know, or afterwards when, like, you don't want to, like, the equivalent is just leaning over someone's shoulder while they draw something. Like, yeah. Well, that's wrong, and you're doing that wrong. Come on.
What are you doing, man?
Wow, you're really fucking this up. Jesus.
I hate this guy's face. It's so lopsided. It's like nothing about this thing is symmetrical at all. Everything is all fucking skewed.
You have them all, right?
Huh?
Didn't you buy all of them?
Yeah, I have all of them except the skull, because the skull is total shit.
Yeah, the skull doesn't look good at all.
I have a question about shadow mapping. What's the best way to study it, in my opinion? What do you mean by shadow mapping? Do you just mean drawing the shadows? I've heard the term before, but to be totally honest, I don't know if there's like a specific answer to what that is, or if you just mean drawing the shadows. I don't want to go off and talk about something if I don't know what it is. Studying shadow shapes on hard and soft edges. There's no, like a lot of things we talk about on here, there's no magic answer to that. It comes from doing it a lot and studying it as you go. Your shadow, like, I can't tell you any one thing, and then you're going to go do it and be like, oh, because Dan told me this, my shadows and edges are better. You just have to look at shadows and edges, try to get them more accurate, and keep doing work. It'll come with practice. I mean, the basic thing about shadows is they have a shape, you know, and the shape is relevant to the contour of the angles of the face. So if you know facial structure and you know the planes of the face, you'll be better informed to draw those shadows. I mean, that's something you can study to reinforce it, but it still totally comes down to looking at an object and being able to replicate a shape based on sight. And the only way you can improve that is by studying a lot.
And it doesn't get any easier.
Why is someone linking Vance Kovacs' site? I love Vance Kovacs, but why? Vance Kovacs is the beautiful man. I saw the little bust of the face with the muscles. Let me turn on my webcam and make sure we're talking about the same thing. Are you talking about this one? Right here? Talking about this one? This guy right here? Okay, so here's the thing about this bust that I want you to understand. This bust is accurate in the face, but it's not accurate in the head. And you might be thinking like, oh, what's that? I don't know how well you can see it. I'm going to move it close. the face is very accurate, but if you can see up here, this side of the head tapers up and skews a crazy amount. Like, really, really bad. So all of this in here, the whole face area, that's all really, really good. The neck is really, really good. The top of the head, this side is way bigger than the other side, so you kind of have to compensate because that is not accurate. Okay?
Yeah, his head's like so weird. Like the way it like curves upwards from the ear.
Yeah.
Instead of following like any kind of straight line.
Like I'll show you, because I have the course models. Let me turn on my webcam and show you why it's not accurate. You still with me, Sam?
I'm here.
Hey, can you guys all see me? So we had this head I was just talking about. See how this side of the face tapers? This is an accurate head. Do you see the difference? In terms of there's no taper on this one. It's round at the top. That's why this one's inaccurate. The face is good. This eye on the muscle side is a little big, and the top is way too big. But generally, it's fairly accurate. It's not totally accurate, though. But this guy is totally accurate. I can't make it larger. I'm sorry. Oh, let me put this head back on my model. Where did I get the accurate one? Okay, I'll show you. I'll show you more stuff. Oh, okay. This guy's heavy. If anyone buys this, get ready.
I need to see this.
Huh?
I need to see this with the streamer.
I'm gonna have to video chat you so I can full screen it.
Sure. Oh yeah, I think Miles has one of those.
How do I full screen this?
Is it the one with the detachable arm?
Hey, what's up? It's Dan. What's going on? So, this is the Andrew course, Male Anatomy version 2. It's 2 feet tall, comes on a rotating base. The arms come out, the head comes off, and the penis is magnetically detachable. So, that is what this is. It was roughly $200 when I bought it. I have the male and the female. Absolutely worth it. If you can find this and afford it, I highly recommend getting it. It's extremely useful.
Yeah, Miles has got one of those in his apartment.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Like the guy that lived in the room before and just left it.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
So it's basically just his now.
If anyone in here does art for a living in the United States, that is tax deductible. So consider it. The female one's better in my opinion. I have her too. The reason I like the female better is because the one you just saw had a bone layer and a muscle layer. The female has a muscle layer and a skin layer. And having the matte finished skin is incredibly useful for painting. Because you kind of have to make up the skin with the male. Luckily I've got got this little guy to help me compensate for the lack of skin. But the female's definitely a good investment.
Yeah, like once you start getting those things, you really don't have an excuse to be wrong anymore.
Dan, how do you handle having a great relationship and practicing 12 hours a day? Your advice? Well, Anya and me are very lucky in a certain way and unlucky in another because she lives very far away. I don't have the option of seeing her, so it's not a distraction. So, we love each other from a distance. We cherish the time we have together. But it's not all the time, so it can't become a controlling factor.
You're living a lie.
Shut up.
You even told me that was a joke.
It's not a joke. I never said it was a joke. I would never say it's a joke. Stop trying to poison our love. She tells me to stop talking to you. I'm cutting you off.
Alright, I see where your loyalty lies.
Yeah, you do.
It's part of Dan's be more of an asshole ratio.
My effort. There's nights when I lay down and I'm like, have I changed too much? Am I too much of an asshole now?
You can never be too much of an asshole.
Yeah, Anya does have a beautiful voice. She sings me to sleep sometimes. How's it going? What are you working on? I don't have your stream open.
The Komodo. Commando.
Komodo. Commando. Still can't believe we have a fucking theme song.
Yeah.
Crystal Crusaders.
So good.
It's insanely good.
I keep listening to it.
Me too.
Can't get over how much emotion he has in his voice when he says crystal critters.
I know. I just love that the anthracite voice is exactly what we wanted it to be. It's just Skeletor.
Yeah.
Someone asked if I was doing a crit stream after this. Yes. Yes, I am. Possibly with Sam. Unless he keeps bad mouthing my girlfriend. In which case, he won't be here.
I'll just disappear off like the whole community.
Yeah, we'll just get rid of you.
They'll never hear me again.
So wait, how are you streaming? I thought you couldn't stream.
I told you I changed, closed all the background things and changed the theme of Windows so it wasn't taking stuff up, and it just seems to be working. So it was one of the programs.
I see.
So I guess I'm doing this again.
I see. I see.
I don't think you do.
Hey, come on!
You're blind.
You
You're
don't.
blinded by love.
Come on, man. And so it was that beauty killed the beast.
Wow. Dan Warren, poet and artist.
And then I hit the
The
stand.
artist formerly known as Dan Warren.
Come on, Sam. That's a. Come on, you can do better than that. You can do better than that. I'm all self-conscious now because I have no idea what Dave was talking about last night.
Why is that fucking cute?
Because Dave knows too many things about my secret life.
A secret life.
Yeah, he knows too many things I've never told anybody else.
Oh.
And if he's talking...
Sorry, go on.
He just knows too many things. He could have said anything.
Sound like Franco. No, I didn't say anything bad.
Let's see.
Or like any information.
Question, Dan, would you ever do a nude painting with your girlfriend as a model? I'm asking because for me the models become some kind of object after a while, drawing them, and I had the same feeling with one of my ex-girlfriends. I've never had that feeling before because there's a detachment from when you start drawing something, you have to shut off the part of you that's sexually attracted. I don't know how else to say that. Like, you know, like I've never had that problem. Because like if I'm drawing something, I'm drawing it. You know, I'm not looking at it, getting an erection and being like, ooh, like, you know, it's art.
Yeah, you're gonna raise that leg.
Yeah, like, you know, you can't do that. You know, but it's like the second, like if I'm not drawing and I've never had that experience. I've never had it. I've never looked at a girl and been like, oh, that's a leg I'd like to fucking render. Like, you know, like, it's never happened to me. I'm sorry. I did say it to a girl once to piss her off, but I've never actually felt it.
So much easier to do art all the time if you did. But you'd be really creepy.
Yeah, if you started seeing your girlfriend as an object, it probably wasn't because you're an artist. It's probably because you have something wrong with you. That's my honest answer to that.
Shit.
It probably wasn't the art that was making you see her as an object. There's probably something wrong with that relationship.
Ooh.
Alright, I'm just saying it. It's true.
For now, though.
I don't think it's the art's fault. I think you just objectify women. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what I meant.
Started to feel like an inanimate object, and then I realised I loved inanimate objects more. Because I want to watch that video again.
Yeah, I had a weird... When I was in college, I had a weird interaction with a girl where I stumbled onto her naked. Well, she was topless. She wasn't totally naked. She was like, "Oh my god, I'm naked! Don't look at me!" And I went, oh, "I don't care." And then I walked out of the room, and she was like, "Why don't you care? I'm standing here naked." And I said, "I draw tits every day. Big deal."
I'm not gonna leave my coat in the morning.
And she got really upset. She got real upset. That's the closest I've ever come to what you're describing.
Complete apathy for another human being. It's the closest you go.
And even in that scenario, I was joking to lighten the tension of seeing my friend naked.
It was a jest.
Gerg, you asked a bad question. I mean, you can't drop a question like that and not expect the chat to jump on you.
Gug.
Gig.
Gug.
It's like if I came on here and I was like, Dan, do you ever think it's awkward drawing naked men because you're not gay? Like, I can't say that or the chat's going to destroy me. You can't come into the chat and say certain things and expect it to go well for you. Certain things you can't do.
So that is like the basics of human interaction.
I remember over the summer, the reason I brought that up, over the summer a kid wandered into the stream randomly and I was drawing some shirtless muscle dude to learn anatomy. He went, "Oh, this is fucking gay," and then he left. And we were all like dying laughing because it was so random. Just some kid we'd never seen before comes in. "Oh, this is fucking gay," and then he leaves the chat.
What
like,
fucking hair.
just browsing live stream. It was good.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was good.
You all felt like completely belittled in one phrase.
That was back in like August, I think. It was like a long time ago. But yeah, it was really funny. It was random.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. The best thing on here ever is all the people that talk about how hot Dave's girlfriend is, because it happens all the time. It's happened it's happened like 7 times.
Oh, wow.
When he's like, "Dave, my man, your girlfriend's fucking slamming. I want to hit it." All right, guess I'll go. That's exactly what he said. Just wanted to say that. I'll be going now.
Jeez.
My favorite was the kid that wanted to draw her as a blueberry.
Oh, I saw that.
Because he had a
crazy.
blueberry fetish.
That was like the creepiest thing I remember.
Question, Dan, do you have any tips for jumping back into a piece the next day? I find the next day I can't get right back into the piece I was working on last time. I've had that problem before, and typically the reason why is because you've had a cool down by sleeping and resting. The fuck was that? You okay? Yeah, typically it's because you've had a cool down. And the best way to do it, obviously, the opposite is to do a warm-up. So, like, either do gestures or studies or something. Like, the thing I did, like, I didn't want to keep rendering Topaz Tony, if you can believe that. So, what I did was, when I got bored of doing it, I did that study of a puma. I looked for something in the piece that I was having trouble with, and I did a study of it that would be directly translatable to it. So immediately after I did the puma, I jumped back into the piece and rendered the puma, and then that got me flowing with the piece again, and it was, you know, it allowed me to make that transition a little less seamlessly. That's the best thing you can do, is try and find some way to make the piece better and get back into it.
To become the puma.
Was it just blueberries or any kind of berries? It was a kid who had a fetish with the girl from Willy Wonka that blew up into a blueberry. For some reason, he was like sexually hung up on that. So he would ask girls he saw on DeviantArt if he could have permission to draw them as blueberries, like bursting at the seams, full of juice, that kind of thing. And he asked Chelsea if he could do it with her, I guess, randomly. And it was just insane, because then Dave found a bunch of the kids' art that he had done of other girls blowing up as blueberries, and it was disgusting.
So amazing.
Just girls that were like super, super fat, full of blueberry juice, ready to explode. He had tons of paintings of that.
Wow. How can people like that exist?
In
How
my
do you even ask someone to do that?
Hold on. I don't know if it has a charge. The battery might be plugged in. In my room, if you walk in, right when you turn, there's the art table. Next to it, there's a stand with a lamp. The drill is there, and the battery might be plugged in. If not, you have to plug it in. Are you mounting something in the drywall?
Yeah, I had it tacked on there, but the tack's not.
Do you need drywall screws? Because I think I have some.
Alright.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I got it.
The Ryobi?
Yeah.
Is the battery plugged in?
Yeah, it's charged.
Alright, cool. I don't know if I have any more drywall screws, but if I do, they're up there.
A couple,
Okay, cool.
so I'll try those out.
Yeah, I think I see the bag up there. Good luck. Sorry about that. My roommate is trying to mount something. You're about to hear a screwdriver. I don't know what that guy's DeviantArt is, but you should be able to find it. Okay, Dan, I have a question. I'm rendering a character who I keep getting loads of inspiration for dramatic change to him. Changes to him. I'm assuming that's changes. Do you think it's worth adding changes now or not adding changes now? Let me see the piece. Can you link it? If it's like done, then I'd say just start a new piece and make those changes from the get-go. But if you're still early on, then yeah. If it's black and white, then you shouldn't be that far. You know, you should be able to make some changes if you haven't even gone on with the rendering. But let's see it. Yeah, I think the blueberry girl fetish is like a fairly common thing on DeviantArt. I think more than a few people have that, which is fucked up.
How would you even, I was gonna say, how would you even discover that that's your thing?
Yeah.
I think you'd just be watching Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and just start freaking out.
Well, tentacle rape's like, you know, a huge thing in Japan, obviously. So plenty of people have that. Plenty of people have that hang up. That's like accepted over there.
I just don't understand any of it.
I think the weirdest thing I ever saw was that E.T. porno that Dave found.
Oh.
Of like a
That
girl
sounds rough.
in like an E.T. costume blowing a bunch of dudes. That was really terrible. It was hilarious though.
I got linked by a friend to this pterodactyl porn.
Oh, the pterodactyl porn was the best. I love pterodactyl
fucking
porn.
amazing.
I love
Like,
the pterodactyl
waving the
porn.
wings around like.
Pterodactyl porn was one of the best things I've ever seen. My favorite was when the guy has the sock puppet pterodactyl and it comes up out of the corner and just goes meh, meh.
It's just the funniest thing
I
ever.
loved that. More stuff like
Tell those
that.
guys had a great time making it, and it really shows in the final product.
More stuff like that needs to exist. The pterodactyl stuff. It's a brave move.
Fucking insane.
Brave move making pterodactyl porn.
It Yeah, you gotta respect anyone who's willing to try and jump into that market.
I come on here and I say, you gotta be willing to take risks. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about pterodactyl porn.
Making their own industry.
Yeah, you gotta be the industry you want to get a job in.
Someone was like, I want to make pterodactyl
In the
porn,
bag.
but there is no market for it. I'll make the market.
Might want to take a hammer to get it started. Is there a hammer up there?
Mhm.
Cool. It's those white ones up there. I don't know if there's any in the bag.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We started having any really dependent questions recently.
Like what?
Like, do I go buy food? Like we were saying the other day.
Oh yeah.
Or people just start needing you, otherwise they die.
Dan, do I go buy food? I'm like, no.
Oh, God.
No, you starve.
I'm sorry if the person's in here, but someone at the end of Dave's stream was just like, so is any other stream on? It gets pretty lonely here sometimes without them.
Oh God.
It's like, oh.
Terrible.
Like, he was like really desperate. He's like, is anyone doing anything?
Terrible.
Freaking out.
So who's who's going live next?
Somebody please. Eat it. Yeah, I'm really sorry if that person's here, but
If you're here, you're pathetic.
hey, it's mean. Dan Warren, full-time meanie. That's what he does.
Oh, that is the weirdest thing ever. You should not have linked that in my chat.
What did they think?
Something horrible.
Oh.
Okay, so this is the piece you were talking about where you didn't know if it was too late to change it. I'm going to pull it up. This isn't a crit. I'm not doing a paint over. I would just finish this and then do a second piece and make the changes. You're far enough in the rendering and the levels, and this pose is so iconic and standalone with the triangle composition and everything that this could be a good finished piece. So what I would do is, you know, finish this and then do another piece with the changes you were going to do to this one. Finish this, do a new one. That's what I would say.
Someone linked the thing, but I don't think I want to see it.
Yeah, don't.
They said make sure it's on another screen, which means I don't want to see it.
No, you'll get banned if you pull that up on your screen.
Don't worry. I think it was after watching, like it was like ages ago when you were streaming, people were talking about that video of the guy who got fucked by a horse.
Yeah.
That's when I learned the lesson that curiosity kills the cat.
Mr.
Like, I
Hand.
literally thought I was going to throw up.
Was that
watching
thing,
that.
was it Mr. Hands? I can't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He like, it's just awful. You can tell when he just has this last minute reconsideration and he
Yeah.
kind of tries staggering away and then the horse just goes at him and he goes,
Yeah, it's
it's just
terrible.
like the most horrible noise I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's great that that guy died.
Yeah, he deserved to die.
I love that that guy died from internal bleeding. And like,
It's just a lovely idea of telling someone. Like, the friend who takes him, they're just like, you let him do this. Literally let your friend go through with this. Yeah, that's the day I learned. Some things you don't want to see.
I just love that that guy died.
Shit.
It's the best. Twitchy, I already talked about your image and I pulled it on the screen. Were you not watching?
I want you to talk more about the image.
I said it's far enough along that you should just finish it and then do a new piece and make those changes in the beginning. So finish that one. It's iconic, it's basic. Just finish it and then do a new piece. Make those changes. No, we never had the December Golden Boys.
The gold that was never given.
We will. It's just we never got around to it because Dave got sick and then I got sick. And then we started going crazy with blood sports and it just never happened. It will happen though. Don't worry about it.
Forgotten gold.
What guy was I happy died? There was a video that went around on the net a while ago of a guy that wanted to have sex with a horse. And there's a video of the horse doing the guy, but then the guy died of internal injuries from the trauma of the horse having sex with him. And I'm really glad he died. Yeah, Mr. Hands.
Just
I'm really glad that
some
guy.
people you don't want in the world.
Really glad he died from that, just because that means they had to have a funeral for him, and everybody there knew he got fucked by a horse and died. I'm just glad that that scenario happened in real life.
The fact that someone was like, yeah, sir, I can't make it. I'm going to a funeral today. A friend got fucked by a horse and died.
Apparently some rich businessman. That doesn't surprise me. Those people are always fucked in the head. Rich dudes are always the ones that have crazy personality disorders.
Not that we're stereotyping.
No, like far and away, it's always like CEOs and stuff like that are always the ones that end up doing crazy, crazy shit. It's like that crazy televangelist dude in the United States who like had the biggest TV church in the world, and then they found out he was like addicted to Thai lady boys. You know, those people are always fucked up.
Yeah.
There's
I
always
just checked your stream. The thing's looking good. What is that yellow?
there's yellow on the monitor behind him. So I just put
okay.
it there to make sure I'm seeing it accurately.
Yeah, it makes them pop quite well.
Yeah, it's actually the yellow from the banner on my stream.
Alright, yeah.
That's what it is. Because I always have it open on the off monitor so I can see if it freezes or not. So it freezes a lot. We talked about that documentary yesterday. The people in love with inanimate objects. That was like a big topic yesterday. Yeah, that's the thing is like now that I have like 100 viewers or more on average every day, statistics say, I mean, this is just, I'm just saying this because it's true. Statistically, one of you guys has a fetish with this stream. Someone out there is touching themselves every time I come on here and talk about stuff. With 150 people, one of you has a problem. I don't know who, but one of you.
This guy's turned into a witch hunt.
Just letting you know. I mean, I don't give a shit.
Don't trust the person next to you right now.
I don't care. I just think it's hilarious that statistically it's just, that's a fact. Yeah, it could be Sam.
Yeah, me. Shit. They know. That's why I befriended Dan, so I don't even just need to listen to the stream anymore. Just call them up. Like, ooh.
I love Louis C.K. He's my favorite comedian.
Yeah, he was
He's my favorite.
so good.
My sister was supposed to be on his show, but she was too pretty. That's a fact.
Yeah, I guess that's a nice thing.
If anyone's ever seen the episode where he goes and finds the girl he went to high school with who says whip it out, and she's like disgusting looking as a grown-up, and then he has sex with her anyway to satisfy his like childhood problem with her. That girl was supposed to be my sister, but she said that she was too good looking for the role and that the joke would be lost. I never see my sister because she's too successful. So she's too successful. Yeah, she works with Boston Casting. So like any movies or anything that get filmed in the Boston area, she's part of the staff. So like she does vocal training, that's her area of expertise there, so yeah, that's what she does. She was like a cast director on The Town, if anyone saw that horrible Mark Wahlberg movie. Actually, I don't know if it was horrible, I never saw it, but I assumed it was horrible. And that weird movie with Brendan Fraser and Harrison Ford. She worked on Day and Night, Night and Day, I'm sorry. That Tom Cruise movie in Boston, she worked on that.
He says success is coming.
Oh, it wasn't Mark Wahlberg, it was Ben Affleck, my bad. I get them confused. Yeah, if anyone's ever been to a Red Sox game, my sister was most likely the person singing the national anthem. She's done that a lot. I already answered what my background was a big bet, and I think you were the one that asked the question when I answered it. So, I don't know if you didn't hear me, but I already answered that. My background is I'm a freelance illustrator, concept artist. I'm not a professional. I get work, but I don't get huge work. I'm on here trying to learn. I went to an art school and I have experience teaching, and that's my whole background.
He's a life coach.
Yep.
Just here to make everything better.
I'm just here to let you know that I'm here.
Try and think of him more as a friend than a life coach.
Do you always make his shoulders too wide? Because I always make his shoulders too wide.
I think I made him too hunched, but I didn't make them too wide.
I always make his shoulders too wide. They're like way, way smaller than I think they are. Would I like to do a book of my own or anything along those lines? Yes. I would love to write books and illustrate them. Genre? Some kind of fantasy, probably for kids. Probably kids' books. My background wallpaper. Well, if that is what you meant, it's an illustration by Brad Rigney. Or Crypt Crawler, if you are on the forums.
Background. It's good. I like that.
That was good. Am I doing the crits? Dude, you guys have to stop asking me that. I do crits every day. That's the answer. Every day I do crits.
It's more like he'd announce it if he wasn't.
Yeah. I always do crits and I always do them after my study. So if I'm studying right now, then by default I'll be doing crits later. I'm not trying to be mean, it's just people ask me that repeatedly. Study for an illustration. Good values. The composition's a bit weird. I can't go into too much detail because I'm not doing crits. I just clicked it. The composition's strange, and I think the horizon line's probably too high. But yeah.
I just realized you have, like, how many people are watching your stream right now?
What?
you have like 150 viewers or something.
That's like normal.
You have 10 times more than I have.
It's just weird. I don't know why
It's
that's. I don't know why
so-
that's normal, but it is.
Yeah, it's so bad that that's normality now.
Yeah. I can't wait to do the secondary light on this guy. That's always when it stops looking like total shit and becomes kind of shit.
Oh, you're so humble.
Yeah. That's the truth, though.
Yeah, that's why people lie.
Dude, his shoulders are so much smaller than I think they are. My God.
He doesn't even have shoulders.
God.
Just like, oh, I don't know what it is.
Man.
It's a neck.
It's just, yeah. Just a wide fucking neck. That's all it is. I know those are the trapezius. I know. But they go into the shoulders. So I'm going to call them shoulders.
I'd love to just like include this guy in an illustration for something just in the background and like, basically do the study but give him flash.
Listen to me.
Just have him somewhere.
This guy's face.
He's so good, he just fit in a fancy illustration. Just in the background.
Looks like he's going, nah. I hate it.
He just looks, I
Nah.
don't know, I have him on like a side light now and he looks kind of concerned in that light.
Nah. My brush does this jitter thing, and I don't know why. Or all of a sudden I'll get a dot of 100% opacity color. Just randomly, I'll just get that. I hate it.
I think I have something similar. I think it's to do with the USBs like flickering, like the
Yeah.
connection between the tablet and the.
It's something weird. I can't get rid of it though. I've tried.
I sometimes have a thing where all of a sudden it's like that, but it doesn't stop. So it like doesn't recognize when I'm pressing down. So if I drew a straight line, it'd be like several dots. It's bad. Alrighty.
Yes, this is-
slogan.
This is from the same line of busts as the fist-sized Caesar. This is from that same group.
Fist-sized Caesar.
Fist-sized Caesar. Yeah, I don't like how that sounds. Fist-sized Caesar. It sounds sexual. I don't like it.
It's a special technique.
What is that, Caesar? It's about the size of my fist. Dude, I can fit this whole Caesar in my mouth.
It's just the new measurement for fist.
I know. How many Caesars is that? Aren't those busts expensive as hell? No. But keep in mind, I'll put on my webcam. They're only this big. They're like $20. 20. But they're only about that big. So literally, you know, fist-sized. But yeah. They're not expensive. Well worth it. They are very detailed. I mean, there's no reason to have a 2-foot bust unless you've really got the room for it and you really, really want to set something up that's site size. I mean, those are great to have if you've got the money and the space, but these are almost as good. They're like, really, really close.
Yeah, they're good for what they are.
Oh, and then I noticed there's like a bright blue light coming in from the side. It's going to change everything.
Whoops. I need... What kind of stuff goes on the packaging? I've seen other people's and they have all these, like, things.
I have them.
I saw yours had a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Like the warning thing.
Choking hazard.
Oh, is that what it is? I might grab one of those.
Yeah. That thing that happened yesterday is starting to happen, where the sun's going down and the contrast is getting blown out accordingly.
Just things that make you hate that bust even more.
I'm like,
you're gonna start blaming it.
Oh, the sun's going down. Whoops.
Yeah, it's supposed to learn from your mistakes.
This blue
Awesome.
light's helping at least a little. I love that when you add a new element like the blue light that I'm adding now, you realize how many things are completely wrong. You're like, oh, so I drew it completely incorrectly. Cool.
You live and learn. Just move on. We all have.
I'm going to do like a 5-hour study of this weekend and just nail it. And just be like, yeah.
And actually set up a light source this time.
Yeah, do it at night so the sun can't change, because that's what keeps fucking me. But I really want to do those kind of... I really want to do those kind of daylight values. I'm sick of doing black and white, super high contrast.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I like doing this washed out stuff a little bit. Just to switch it up.
Yeah, you're at like top of a building as well, aren't you?
Yeah,
with
a massive window next to me. Have I flipped it, dude? Oh my god! You can't flip a life study, guys. I can't stress this enough. If you're doing a study from life and you're not working with a mirror, you can't flip it. It doesn't solve any problems.
Yeah, I was gonna say, whenever I do natural light studies, it's always like green and blue from the garden and the sky. So I guess it'll be pretty different for you.
Yeah. Okay, so like Giga Art, you're saying like, say what? If you're doing a study from life and it's a bust that's in front of you, how does flipping the canvas solve anything? You can't look at it next to itself to see the flaws. You might think something's wrong and it's actually going to be correct. Like there's no comparison when you flip it because the bust isn't also flipping. You can't look at the thing you're studying flipped unless you have a mirror, and I don't have a mirror. So flipping it doesn't solve any problems. Because I could flip this and make a bunch of corrections based on what I think is wrong, but that's me just seeing things and thinking they're wrong. I don't have any basis of factual comparison. And with a bust that's this skewed and this weird with the expression, fuck. I'd make more mistakes than I would fixes.
Yeah, you'd be like trying to fix it so it's like what you think is right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, this needs to line up properly, but it's more just about measuring what things need.
It's like people in the chat are saying like you could take a photo and finish it with that or like whatever. Yeah, like yeah, if I was doing like a long study, I would definitely do that. But because these are supposed to be like, you know, roughly 2 hour studies, you know, I don't mind the sun starting to set because I have to stop soon anyway. So, you know, it's just a reminder that this isn't a long form study.
When did you find that choking hazard sign? I got one, but it was like locked or something.
Exodune, you know better than that. You know better than that. You don't need to ask that question. We've said on here hundreds of times that you should only study things that you're going to use in your work. You know, like you have to ask yourself why you're doing a study when you do a study. And if there's a reason, it's a good study. If you're just doing a study and it's meaningless and there's no reason, it's a bad study. Studying is always good.
I gave the worst analogy to PK Mike earlier. I was like, it's like reading up on a recipe on the internet and then going into a kitchen and cooking something you don't know how to do.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, all that stuff I just read, I'm going to try something I know absolutely nothing about. What could go wrong?
Yeah, but it's like I'm not doing any paintings of old men right now, but that's not why I'm studying this. I'm studying this to get better at sight size recognition and get faster in Photoshop. I'm studying it to get faster at the actual method of painting, to train my eye to see things faster. That's the point of this study. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be an old man. I could be studying a bottle right now, but I just really want to study this old man because it's complicated, it's interesting. It's human form, you know, it's something I might actually need to use in the future.
Yeah, we're saying like this is the exception when you actually like learn to cook stuff.
There's fundamental studies and then there's application studies. This is more of a fundamental study. It's just me looking at something and replicating. An application study is when you have an illustration you're working on. And like, for example, when I did Topaz Tony, I was like, well, I don't know how to do a cat. So I'm going to study a puma, and then I'm going to put it into the illustration. That's an applied study. You do learn more from those. But from time to time, you got to do fundamental studies.
Yeah, you can't just become a photocopier.
Yeah, you can't be a photocopier.
There needs to be actually, like, you have to be thinking about something other than replicating what you saw.
Dan, what's your opinion on starting black and white versus starting with color? My opinion is that in studies you should always work with color and never do layer manipulations and stuff. Because in a study you should be studying how you actually see color, not how you apply color in a digital setup. Because you won't ever get better at recognizing colors and things unless you do color studies. Now when it comes to your personal illustrations and stuff like that, or your client work, I don't care how you apply the color. You could start with a really good black and white image and do a color layer over it. You could paint direct color. You could paint traditional. You could paint digital. You know, I don't care how you do that. That's all style choice. That's all how you want to render an image. If you're good at one thing and you enjoy doing it, then good, do it. You know, it's all about the results you get and the process that you like. But in terms of studying color, you should always paint with color. Because you'll see subtle differences that you wouldn't see in a layered thing like that, where you're using Photoshop tricks to manipulate color. You'll make more mistakes painting with direct color, and the more mistakes you make, the more you're going to learn. But in terms of your personal work, feel free to use whatever approach you like. It's all good. Go ahead and ask whatever.
What's the thing they usually say on them? It's like for kids certain age up.
I
It's
don't
just
know.
that, or
Yeah. Question, why would somebody paint an apple? Is that considered a fundamental study? You paint an apple for a number of reasons. Number one, it's round, so you're learning how to paint around a rudimentary cylinder or an orb. Number two, it reflects light in a kind of weird way. It's kind of half human skin, half oily something. It's like it's got a weird finish, so it's really good for light reflection. The third thing is that there's subtle contrasts of complementary colors in an apple. They'll very often shift from green to red, and you'll have to study all that. You know, it's a very organic form. It's a very basic form. If you've never done a life study before, an apple is typically the launching point most people use to start doing life studies. It's definitely the one I used. I did a whole bunch of apples for a while before I got comfortable. And yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of reasons people study apples. It's definitely a fundamental thing. It's a basic shape. It's organic, and you know, by using that basic shape, you can apply all different kinds of value, light, drawing, rendering. All those things are there, but it's so basic that you don't get lost in details. Like, I would never recommend starting off doing life studies with a bust like the one I'm doing. It's too complicated. You're jumping into the deep end before you even know how to swim. I would recommend starting with an apple, or even with an orb, you know, something like that, something basic. Then move to something more complex, and then get the ball rolling and start, you know, figuring it out.
Yeah, it's good for that first lesson where
Question.
originally think it's round, but it's more like a cube.
Question. In 2 weeks, I'll have a few days free, and I was thinking about studying some heads and bodies. I actually don't need them right now for projects. I just wanted to study some basics to get better in human anatomy. What do you think? You already know the answer to that question. I don't need to tell you that. That's the thing. Like, if you study human bodies, you'll get better at human bodies. If you study other things, you'll get better at those. If you have projects you're doing, I would recommend probably studying for the projects you're doing. If you have artwork right now that you have to get out to have better results, you learn more, you can apply them more. But I mean, like, studying human anatomy is something you should always be doing anyway. I mean, that's the flip side of that answer, is that you should always be studying human anatomy to some degree, because it's so fundamentally rooted in everything we do. So I mean, I guess, I mean, you should be studying human anatomy right now. I wouldn't see why you'd wait 2 weeks to start studying human anatomy. Dan, all this stuff you know, the advice you give is stuff you mostly learned at school or on your own, or a mix of both? The honest answer is it's a mix of both. Most of it I had to teach myself, but there are things like composition. Well, actually, I did teach myself composition, didn't I? What did I learn in school?
It's so good when you have to ask yourself that.
Okay, so the bulk of what I learned in school, the honest answer is what not to do. I did learn a few things that I applied, like school taught me how to paint, school taught me how to use traditional media, school taught me acrylics and how to blend and stuff like that. But it was one teacher at the school I went to. You know, aside from the art history stuff, which school definitely taught me, I didn't learn the art history stuff on my own. That all came from school. In terms of the application stuff, what did I learn in school? Pretty much just how to use acrylic paint, and that was because one professor was just really passionate about it, and he taught me how to do that. Almost everything else I know about concept art, fundamental anatomy, composition, illustration, marketing, all that stuff I had to teach myself. What artists would I recommend to studying the working process? I would recommend doing the Golden Age philosophy of a working process. And the two people I can say off the top of my head that do it, if you have James Gurney's book, Imaginative Realism, he talks about that process. It's the same process everyone used in the Golden Age. And if you don't have it, you can go to Justin Girard's blog, and he walks you through an entire illustration, piece by piece, starting with studies and sketches, applying them, doing a composition, figuring out the reads, doing a color study, color comps, you know, thumbnailing, final render. All of the steps are there. And that's typically the series of steps most illustrators go through start to finish on a piece. I say most. Not all illustrators follow it, but that is the classic method of doing a piece. It's even how, like, the Renaissance dudes did their paintings, and it's how most of the illustrators in the Golden Age did it. Which blog? Who? Guys. Yeah, there's a link to it in the chat. The Golden Age, question mark? Yeah, if you don't know what the Golden Age of illustration is, I'll be doing a talk on it sometime this week if you want to check it out. The Golden Age of illustration was when our genre was created. Illustration, a lot of people don't know this, illustration didn't exist until the late 1800s. It wasn't a thing until the late 1800s. It did not exist. So the first commercial illustrator was Alphonse Mucha. And we'll talk about that and then segue into why illustration existed, how it came about. But yeah, the first 30-odd years of illustration as an industry was considered the Golden Age. Well, I guarantee you're saying imagine what art's going to look like in 100 years from now. I guarantee you a lot of it's going to look exactly the same as it does now, because a lot of the art now looks exactly the same as it did 100 years ago from today. There will undoubtedly be some new developments, but a lot of it, especially fundamental illustration, is going to look the same. Our industry isn't so much about reinventing the wheel. That's more of a fine art thing. Our industry is more about pushing the line on technical application.
Yeah, I think it'll more be how people do it.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be the same results, but in different ways. Like,
Yeah.
I always think it's crazy, like, when I see in a gallery and people doing still lives, and they've been dead for, like 600 years or something.
Yeah.
Like, just, they would never have been able to comprehend that, like, some kids will be looking at their work in 600 years, and, like, they paint on these boards that go on a screen or whatever.
Navia, I don't know what you're saying. Sorry if this sounds stupid, but what do you mean by illustration in that sense? There were some rare illustrations before, but very few. I don't know what you're talking. What are you talking about? Ever since the turn of the century, 1900, our entire culture has been flooded with illustrations. They've been everywhere for 100 years. There's more now than there ever has been before, because there's, as the ball rolls, there's always going to be more. Next year there's going to be more than there was this year. The year after that there's going to be more than there was next year. That's what happens, but our entire culture's been flooded with illustrations since the 1900s. In medieval ages? Well, that's why I said illustration didn't exist. Illustration didn't exist as a thing, as a culture, as a job until the late 1800s. There were illustrators, but they weren't called illustrators in the Middle Ages. They were called monks. The only people that did art in the Middle Ages, aside from the people that were portrait painters, were people that did illuminations in Bibles, because that was the only art that really existed, were tapestries and Bible illuminations. The only patrons of art that existed back then were the only people with money, which were royalty and the church. So naturally, the only two things that ever came out of that were portraits of royalty or commissions for Bibles. So that's why it didn't exist. And then, the printing press didn't exist until, I think 1560 or something like that. It came fairly late. And even after it came, it spread very slowly. And that's when you started getting things mass-produced, and that's when art started expanding. Oh, really? Was it 1562? I was damn close. I was damn close. But yeah, so like illustration kind of had a bump when the printing press came out, but even then, not really. Only a couple people really did it. It wasn't like a job you could have. Like one lucky guy got to do it, but it wasn't something you could like consciously choose to do. But yeah. I mean, technically, the big argument everybody uses that you have to be aware of is that technically the entire Renaissance was illustration because everybody was illustrating scenes from the Bible. It was a text prompt that they had to follow with characters in an environment doing something. So technically, all of those paintings from the Renaissance were illustrations, but the term illustration did not exist. That's the thing.
Speaking of the Bible, I was looking up action figure, like box cover, and there's just a Jesus one that comes with 5 pieces of bread and 2 fish.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So like the first, I'll just talk about this very quickly as a prequel to the talk I'll be giving later. The first commercial illustrator in the world that, well, the first person credited with being a commercial illustrator is Alphonse Mucha. He was the first person that worked with what's now called corporate identity, where a company would hire him to give their product a visual signature. So when people saw his ladies, they'd know that that was a certain thing. They'd go, oh, that's that tea company, or oh, that's that opera. So they'd hire him, and he would do corporate identity. Except it wasn't called corporate back then because there were no such things as corporations. But what is today known as corporate identity is what Alphonse Mucha essentially invented. So he had a number of clients that he worked for. And then what happened was this group of artists in England, the Pre-Raphaelites,
Hey.
they were like, hey, you know what would be really cool? Is if we took all those ancient stories from our culture and did paintings based off of them and re-released them in book format with illustrations. And they were like, oh, that would be kind of cool. So then they started doing that.
That's exactly how that conversation transpired.
Yeah, they were like, oh, that'd
Would
be
that
sick.
Be cool? Yeah, that'd be pretty sick, man.
Yeah. So that's essentially what happened. And then, you know, the next thing about that is that there was a big industrial revolution going on in the 1800s, which was kind of a big deal. The industrial revolution was sort of a huge thing.
It got a little bit big here.
So two things happened. Two things happened in the Industrial Revolution that you have to be aware of, okay? Countries needed kitschy, what is now called kind of kitschy exports. Russia needed Russian things. England needed English things to create a demand. And then the other thing that happened is that childhood was invented. And I know you think that sounds weird, but I swear to God, and this is totally true, childhood did not exist until the 1800s. Up until the 1800s, children were considered small, defected adults, and they were expected to work just like anyone else the second they were of age, and there was no magical period in their young lives where they were told stories, and they were allowed to grow, and they weren't held accountable for their actions. That did not exist until the 1800s.
It's almost like the classic chimney sweeper boy.
Yeah, it did not exist. So when childhood did exist, guess what came out of nowhere? Children's books. And that was far and away the biggest reason the golden age of illustration happened. It was a combination of industrial nationalism which is all the big production companies in every country needing a unique product. It was industrial nationalism, plus the advent of childhood. Those two things is what created the golden age of illustration, because suddenly there were books being published about King Arthur and Robin Hood that needed illustrators. Suddenly in America, everything was Johnny Appleseed and Paul Bunyan, the founding fathers, etc., etc. And when those two things merged, illustration exploded as an industry. And everybody needed art. And that's where it came from. But we'll talk more about this later this week.
It's really bad how little I know about American history. I know nothing.
It's just amazing that, like, childhood was nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. Hey, Severin. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever thought about doing a podcast of these kind of talks? I guess I could. I mean, I guess. If people wanted one.
It's not basically what this is.
Yeah, essentially. I might just do a series of streams called Art History with Dan, and just make a forum of like a thread for them in the forums at the Dagger site, and eventually just have a comprehensive art history course right there for free. That might be something like once a month I'll choose a topic, so at the end of the year we'll have 12-hour-long discussions.
Yeah, I mean, just do them on here.
Yeah.
And then
save the audio.
Make the YouTube video like Dave's doing at the moment. Save it forever.
No, I'll play fancy classical music over the intro. Art History with Daniel Warren.
Then I would be painting anything, just like a really weird shot of you sat there in a suit with like the beard on your mustache curled and stuff.
Yeah, I'll do that. Fuck it, sure, why not? We'll start with the Golden Age and we'll work around. I want to talk about illustration before the Renaissance. Even though it wasn't called illustration, it existed in a few very small areas, like tapestry stuff, that showed huge epic battles and things like that, but it was all done with weaving. I'm not talking about painting, John. I'm talking about, like, Bible illuminations and tapestries and things like that.
Just a Ted throw in my chat. It says, did I make the Komodo Commando logo myself? Was it given to me by Dave and Dan? I made that myself, just looking at the one that's on the site. It's not too hard. Just like color pick the colors and then use transparency mask to get the gradient.
What do I have behind my cast that is so yellow? It is the banner for the Golden Boy stream, because it's open on my secondary monitor. In case it crashes, I always leave it open so I can see if it's going to die. Let's see. Yeah, if you guys ever get a chance to... oh my god, am I familiar with Billabene? Dude, don't even talk to me about Ivan Billabene. Ivan Billabene is one of my favorite illustrators of all time. Ivan Billabene is like the Russian Alphonse Mucha. He is a genius. One of the best page designers in history. Even James Jean stole stuff from Ivan Billabene. Yeah, Billabene's beautiful. I gotta wrap this study up. I'll do this eye, and then it's over.
Jeez, this piece changed a lot today. A lot. Like it was actually a bit before this, just turning on much information, a bit before this layer, like I started to do the gunfire and the bullets and stuff, and I did quite a bit on the face. Now it's this.
The thing you gotta keep in mind, guys, because someone's saying, you know, I saw some comments in the chat, all that Golden Age stuff, like Billabene was a Golden Age Russian illustrator. The Golden Age wasn't just in America. It was all over the world. And the thing is that Billabene was looking at Mucha, as well as other things, you know. But all of that stuff, the Golden Age, wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for imports and exports from other countries. So the reason Billabene looks the way he does and the reason Mucha looks the way he does is because they started getting things from Eastern countries that had formerly been shut off. And all those kind of vegetation, vine patterns and things, and all that beautiful knot work around the edges, that's all directly ripped from Indian ink paintings and Japanese paintings, which people in England had never seen. People in Paris had never seen. People in Russia had never seen. Until all of a sudden, during the Industrial Revolution, products started being imported and exported like crazy. And all of that visual data that no one had ever seen before started affecting everything, including illustration. Yeah, Art Nouveau, I mean, Alphonse Mucha created Art Nouveau. He's the father of it. And the only reason it exists is because he started adopting vegetal patterns from Indian painting. You know, all the stuff he's using in his stuff, all the knot work and all the beautiful flower designs and stuff, that had been around in India for 1,000 years. But nobody in England knew about it. Nobody in France knew about it. Nobody in Russia knew about it. Because no one had been able to go there and bring it back.
Someone just reminded me that lizards have tails.
Whoops.
Whoops. Oh, fuck.
I already answered the yellow background. I'm not answering it again. Already answered it like 6 times. What do I think of Bobby Chew? He's good. Just Bobby Chew. I don't know what kind of question that is. Do you mean Bobby Chew the illustrator, Bobby Chew the businessman, Bobby Chew the instructor? There's a bunch of different Bobby Chews that make up Bobby Chew. I don't know which one you're asking about. I love Bobby Chew the illustrator. I think his work's beautiful. I love his designs. I think he literally revolutionized the art of cute.
We love his motivational tweets.
I don't love his motivational tweets.
Yeah, you do.
I don't love them.
We love them.
I think they're hilarious, but I don't love them.
They're amazing.
They're hilarious, but
We love them.
did I read The Perfect Bait? No, I didn't. I'm not on schoolism, and I never will be. When people are saying, like, I'd love to see more variety in Bobby's work, but he's pretty good at rendering, so whatever. The thing you gotta understand about illustrators like Bobby Chew, as a general statement, you know, it's not just Bobby I'm talking about a lot of people. And this is just a fact. You know, I'm not trying to be offensive, it's just how it is that when you're an illustrator who creates a market out of nowhere, like Bobby did with his cute monsters and stuff like that, and you literally become the market, you don't have any competition because you are the market. And then you don't need to get better because there is no competition. You know what I mean? So it's like if people need monsters like Bobby Chew's stuff, they go to Bobby Chew because he's the only one. You know what I mean? There's contemporaries of Bobby Chew that do similar things, but they came after him and they're all emulating him. So if people want that, they go to the source. You know, it's the reason why people wanted book covers by Frazetta instead of Boris Vallejo, is because Frazetta created a market where he was the product. He was the only product. There were knockoffs, but they looked like cheap knockoffs. They didn't look like Frazetta. They didn't have the power and the drama. So if you're an illustrator, you know, because Frazetta got to a point, I mean, this is something you have to understand. I know Frazetta is considered like an illustration god and stuff like that. You know, you shouldn't say anything bad about him. But if you look at Frazetta's work on a timeline, he got to a certain point where he stopped improving. And then he was kind of exactly the same for a long time. And then he had a stroke, and he couldn't use his right hand anymore. So he had to retrain himself with the left hand, and then he got really good. Towards the end of his life, he got insanely good because guess what? He suddenly had a reason to push himself again. And he got better with the left hand than he was with the right hand. But if you're an illustrator who creates a market, then you are the product, and people have to buy from you. So there's no need to improve anymore because you don't have to compete. That's why Bobby Chew's stuff doesn't really ever look better than the old stuff. That's why Frazetta's stuff all kind of looks the same from his like heyday. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, ideally, I think everybody should always be pushing themselves to improve and get better just because, you know, if Bobby Chew's as good as he is right now, imagine how good he could be. You know what I mean? But that being said, I mean, I love Bobby's work. He's a nice guy. And, yeah. But he is the market. Bobby Chew isn't just a person anymore, it's a product.
The problem with that is someone who's trying to better themselves as well is, like, say Bobby Chew decided he doesn't enjoy doing the thing he does anymore and wants to move
and that's like
something else. He can't because people expect a certain thing from him.
See, this is the thing is like, what you have to understand about the whole term pushing yourself it's not that Bobby Chu isn't pushing himself. He's doing tons of work. He's always working. I mean, like, he's always doing something. He takes on huge projects. He's running schoolism. It's not that he's lazy. He's not lazy. It's that he's just not studying new things and, like, you know, like trying to take his style to another level. Because he doesn't need to take his style to another level. He's become a demanded product. He doesn't need to switch it up. He might need to in the future if that ever stagnates and he starts losing clientele. But the thing is that he's his own benchmark right now because there's nobody doing what he's doing better than him. That's all it is. He's not lazy. It's not that he's not pushing himself. It's that he's doing a ton of work, but it's all kind of the same thing. But that's because it's in such high demand, you know? So you can say it's a double-edged sword, and you can say it's this or that or the other thing. But the thing is, you know, he's a good illustrator. That's the bottom line. And he found a unique market that he loves, that is him, that is in demand. So, you know, good for him. I congratulate that. I think eventually, because, I mean, still, as good as Bobby is and as prolific as he is in the industry, he's really only been around for a couple years. You know what I mean? Like, the whole schoolism thing and all Bobby's stuff. It's huge right now, but when you look at it, like, it hasn't been around for even a decade yet. So, like, as you go further, I think you'll see his stuff change and improve. But for right now, he's in a really sweet spot. So it's going to kind of look the same. But yeah, I hear a lot of that. I hear a lot of people saying he's lazy and blah, 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 blah. It's not that he's lazy. He's not lazy. Trust me, he's not lazy. He's always doing something.
Go on his Twitter. He's
Yeah.
not lazy. Punch his laziness in the face.
It's like, does anyone remember, like, here's another artist, okay? I talked about Bobby, I talked about Frazetta. I'm going to talk about Marco now, Marco Derjovic. Marco Derjovic recreated what a comic book cover could be at Marvel. He completely changed the game, and he became the product that was in demand. So when he got that huge contract to do, like, however many covers, like 300 or something fucking crazy, he didn't need to get better because he was the product. Nobody else was doing what Marco was doing with covers. So, like, all of his covers from the beginning look insanely good. Like, all the X-Men First Class stuff, Daredevil stuff, all that stuff. It's all phenomenal, but it never got better than it was. You know what I mean? The covers he did down the line weren't better than the ones he did at the beginning. There wasn't an improvement. Everything kind of stayed on the same level because he didn't need to do that. He was his own standard. So that's the thing. That's not a bad thing. But yeah, that's today's coffee-fueled rant. Oh. Hey, Dave.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hello.
We're having an interesting discussion.
About?
Have you been listening, or do you want me to tell you?
I literally just turned it on and I heard you talking about Marco's covers.
Oh. Someone was saying, like, it started off with how do you feel about Bobby Chu, and then someone was saying Bobby Chu's lazy, and someone was saying, like, his stuff never improves. And I was trying to explain to people in the chat that when an illustrator becomes their own standard and they create a market inside illustration that no one else is doing, they don't need to be better because they don't have any competition. They get inside a bubble that they invent from the inside. And then until someone invades that bubble and does it better than them, they don't really need to push themselves. And I was talking about how, like, Bobby works really hard. He does tons of work. It's not that he's lazy. It's just that all of his stuff kind of looks the same because he can afford to do that right now. And then I was talking about how, you know, like, Frazetta created his own industry and he was in demand and, like, his name was synonymous with the covers he was doing. And other people kind of tried, but no one really, you know, no one really looked like Frazetta. He was his own thing. So, as good as he was, I was talking about how for a while all the covers he did were kind of at the same level. He never really got better than his own standard. They all kind of looked the same. And then I was talking about the same thing happened with Marco when he redefined what a comic cover could be at Marvel. and he just
Yeah.
like came out of nowhere, and then the stuff was at a really good level, but it was all at the same kind of level because he didn't really need to go the extra step because he was his own standard.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you become sort of like your own defining force in any industry where people automatically associate you with one thing or another.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that becomes like yours, and you're just it. So then you don't have to be anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, the other side of that is that, like, it's unfortunate how some people reach that point and that's all they want out of it. You know what I mean? Like, where
Yeah.
they just want that business aspect, and then they just sort of stop, you know, out of, you know, like, there's no more necessity to it. You don't need to do it. You don't need to study all the time.
Yeah. There's always
That's the
going to be
unfortunate side of it.
there's always going to be points in anyone's career. Like all of you will hit this point at some point. It will happen where you're improving like crazy. You start getting a lot of work, and then because you start getting a lot of work, you start improving less because you're not as focused on studying and moving forward anymore. You're more focused on deadlines and pleasing a client. And then you'll go through that for a while. Then you'll notice, oh, I'm not improving as fast as I used to. Let's take some time off and do some studies. You'll grow a bit, stagnate, grow, stagnate, grow, stagnate. Like it's a tier-based thing that you go through in your career. Periods of extreme growth and then periods of tons of work, you know? That's a normal thing.
Yeah.
Because inevitably, I mean, it's just logical if you look at it this way. You study and you try to push yourself to get really, really, really good so you can get a body of work and support yourself. Then once you get that, you have it and you get comfortable and you're working. And then eventually you don't like the work you're doing anymore. You don't like the job you used to love. You know, like you find a new benchmark further down the road, but you're not good enough to get there, and that's why it's a benchmark. So what do you have to do? You have to start studying again. So you make time, you get better, then you get to benchmark number 2. The same thing happens, and it's a cycle that keeps going and going and going.
It's like Rocky films.
Yeah, very, very rarely does an illustrator find something at the beginning of their career that they're just totally 100% satisfied with, that they stay with forever. Most people move around a bit and try to have an upward growth. But yeah.
I mean, most people don't really have the option. I mean,
Yeah.
It's not like you can just do that.
Yeah. The only people that do that, again, to bring this whole discussion full circle, the only people that really do that, the opposite of what I was just talking about, are those people that make their own bubble within the industry. You know, those are the only people that can really afford to do the same thing for a decade straight, you know? It's those people that find a niche that they define and completely control. But yeah.
I was going to send you what I was doing all night.
Someone's saying, does Dave know who Ornia is on DeviantArt?
I don't know if that'll pop up on your main screen, Dan.
Take a look.
If not,
I don't think it will. Do you want me to wait till I get off of here in a minute, just in case? No, it didn't pop up on my main screen. Oh, that looks way better. The snarl helps a lot. He didn't have that before, did he?
no.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Guys, I'm gonna go for a few and come back and do the crits in like just a second. So I'll be back and we'll do crits. But yeah, it was good talking. I'm still on a coffee high, so yeah. Cool. Hopefully I didn't offend anybody with that last talk, but it's all true, so I shouldn't have. If I did, I didn't mean to. Yeah, I'll be back in like 5 minutes, guys. Procaster's gonna shut down my Skype for a few minutes, Dave. So I'm gonna hang up and I'll call back.
All right.